Okay, I'm recording. Okay, so we went to my favorite slide, but this is not the first slide. So I'm going to go back. Okay. What I hope to, oh, Paul made it. Yay. Hi, Paul. What I hope to accomplish today is for you guys to see whatever your goals are with eBay, how to accomplish those goals. So if you hear any squeaking, I promise it's not me. It is my dog. Okay. So what we kind of talked a little bit about what our different goals are. For some of us, it's to clear out the house. Maybe it's a hobby. I just met a gentleman who has always had this hobby of flying remote control airplanes that run on gasoline. And so he's selling the engines and he has hundreds of them. So it could be a hobby that you're not using it anymore. You are really familiar with the item. You love dealing with it. He cleans and tests each one. Maybe it's for some of you a part-time income or for a full-time income. And for me, it's been my full-time income since 2006. I'm not going to read you this whole testimonial, but this is an email that somebody who took my classes sent me. And this was years ago. But in just a few months, she had reached $10,000 a month in sales. And she loved what she was doing. She wanted to do it for her full-time income. And she was able to accomplish that. And her name is Kelly. And one of you here knows Kelly. And she's been doing it ever since. Oh, one thing I want to tell you is, since I'm going to be talking for this first almost hour, if you have questions as I'm talking that you want to ask right then, put it in the chat. Haley is going to be monitoring the chat, and she can, you know, interrupt me if that's what we should do, or she'll organize your questions for the end and help with, you know, sorting through what questions to answer. Okay, so I just want to tell you how I got started. In 2003, my husband and I got married. We bought a house. Now we had a big house payment every month. I got a job. I was making a lot of money, and I was working 11-hour days, and I was totally strung out on stress. And I didn't have time to do any of my favorite things like baking. It really consumed me. So we decided our quality of life was more important than the money. Although that was, you know, we had to really think about that. And I quit my job without another job. But while I was looking for another job where I could be a little less miserable, I started selling on eBay just to clear out things I wasn't using anymore, because I figured I would never have time to do it again. And Arlie was my husband. And the reason I keep saying is he did 6 years after that, he was diagnosed with MS, and he did pass away 3 years ago. But he was really outgoing. And so by word of mouth, he would just talk to people. They'd say, "How's your wife?" And he'd say, "Oh, great. She quit her job and she's selling on eBay." And they started asking him, "Well, ask her what she would charge to sell these old purses for me, you know, Coach purses." So he told me, "Honey, you got to call this woman. She wants you to sell these purses for her." So I Googled, what do you charge to sell for someone on eBay? And I found a 300-page ebook that told me how to sell on consignment on eBay. And I thought, if I could make this a full-time living, I mean, if I could make enough money basically to make the house payment, then I don't have to get another job and work for somebody else, because I was just getting a little old to work for somebody else and listen to have them tell me what to do. So anyway, that was February 2006. I never had to get another job. And another thing I want to tell you about is that same year in December, we went to Home Expo. I don't know if you remember that. And they weren't going out of business yet. And we went to get a keyless door lock for my sister because she was pregnant. And Arlie was like, we don't want her to fumble with the keys, and we should get her one. But I knew those locks were $100. So I'm like, I don't have that high paying job anymore. We don't have a ton of money. But when he was generous, I didn't want to stifle that. So I'm like, okay, let's get her door lock for Hanukkah. So we went to the store and it was $22, including sales tax. So Arlie told the guy, you made a mistake, though that's the wrong price. And I didn't even have time to find out if I'm honest or not, because he blurted it out so fast. So the guy looked it up and they really were marked down that much. So we bought out the whole store and we bought out the whole Bay Area. And then we were visiting my parents in Southern California, my family, for the holidays. So he, said, Happy Hanukkah, goodbye. And then he drove around Southern California and bought out every other store. So we made $14,000 on those door locks over the next year, just listing the 8 different styles of that lock. Then an electronics recycler contacted me and I started selling for him, and he kept me busy full time. What I'm so grateful for eBay, because when my husband did get sick over the years, when it took its toll on him, I was able to take care of him, still sell on eBay, still make my full-time living. So I am so grateful. And when he passed away, I moved to Colorado. And because I sell on consignment, I really had to start over with my client base. And that's one of the things I'm so excited about in talking to you guys, because I know, having just started over, and now I am making that full-time income, but without my husband, I have to make double what I was making. And I have gotten to that point. So I know that you guys, if it's to make a part-time living or full-time living, that you can get to that point in a reasonable amount of time. So just talking about the different types of selling, it might be selling the inventory you already have. eBay has over 182 million buyers registered on eBay. Selling on eBay is a great way to sell off old inventory for a business. And then there's selling on consignment, which is primarily, but not the only thing that I do, but it's primarily what I do. So I sell other people's stuff without buying it first. I sell it, and every month I send the people that I'm selling for checks for the amount that it sold for, minus eBay fees and my commission. So in other words, I don't have any upfront costs for inventory other than my time to research it and then, finding people to sell for. But I'll talk about how to find people to sell for as well. And then there's buying and reselling, like we did with the door locks. And that was awesome. I mean, it did cost thousands of dollars to buy all those locks, but we made a profit of $14,000. But anyway, so that's another way that you can do things. And recently I bought 14 fire pits that were the liner of a cone crushing, a rock crushing cone machine. Anyway, it was the liner of that machine, and they have to get rid of it after 6 months and replace it. And then I bought them and resold them as fire pits because people do that. And I sold them all and made a lot of money doing that. So that's something I bought and resold. Then there's drop ship selling, where the most familiar way that people are with a drop ship selling is that there's a website that has different manufacturers or wholesalers. You can contact them through that website and then list their products, use their images. And then when it sells, you order it from them and they ship it directly to the buyer. That's another way of doing things. I have had someone that I've had in my that I trained. She was already selling, but she came to me to fine tune what she was doing. And she was making her full-time living doing that. But don't think that it's not a lot of work. She was working just as hard as me. She just wasn't having to handle physically any of her merchandise. But there's a much lower profit margin when you're doing that, and a lot of competition. But there's another type of drop ship selling, and I'm doing some of that. So one of my clients that I was selling for, he and his wife own 4 laundromats, and they're in California. And when I moved to Colorado, we set up an arrangement where he would take the pictures, give me all the information about the items and the weight and the size. And then I list it on eBay. And when it sells, I email him the shipping label and he ships it. I love that kind of drop ship selling because I'm not competing with everybody else to work with him. So I do have a good profit margin there. It works great for him. So anyway, that's another type of drop ship selling. Okay, so here I'm just going to give you some statistics. Now I have to admit, this is from the last eBay open. Things have probably increased since then, but there's over 1.3 billion listings on eBay. Buyers in 190 countries. I have a map that I used to have in the garage, but now I'm in Colorado, so I have a basement, and I have that in the basement, and now I'm hearing myself echo back. I don't know. Did that get a little bit louder? Oh, okay. That's okay. But if you guys hear echoing, let us know in the chat. Are we getting any comments in the chat or no? Okay. So let me see here. $95 billion worth selling a year. Oh, and what I was going to say about that map is I like to hire teenagers because I just really like working with them. They know everything. So see, we're all set there. That's awesome. And Haley is not a teenager anymore, though. She's 20, right? And anyway, so what I used to do in California, because at one time I had 12 teenagers working for me in California. And whenever we had a new country where something sold to a new country, we would race into the garage, go to the map, and whoever found the country first, I'd give $20, and I competed as hard as I could, like to find it. But there are some things that are hard to find on there. And I've shipped to over 77 countries. Okay, I'm not going to read each and everything because you guys can read some of these things yourself. And if you're wondering, what is eBay doing with their fees? You know, they're charging fees. Well, they are spending $3.4 billion on marketing. So in a year. And there's over 300 billion queries on eBay a day. This is just so amazing. You know, my mom said to me once, like, you're an international salesperson. I'm like, oh yeah, you know, we just ship it. It feels the same as shipping something anywhere in the US, but eBay opens you up to the whole world. So now I want to have some fun, but I have to see something. Okay, so I always, you know, occasionally will say to the teenagers, okay, what is step 1 of listing an item? If anyone has a guess, put it in the chat. Step 1 of listing an item. Okay, are you guys playing? I can't see the chat, and there's only so much I can do at once, but is anybody putting anything in there?
Research from...
Is that Donna, Renegade? Okay, Donna, you're right. Okay, step 1 of listing an item is researching the item. Is it worth selling? How much should I list it for? Okay, so I want to show you live. And, you know, apparently I can only do, like, my brain can only do, I can't do this, you know, and then make this hand go like this at the same time. But we're going to try. So I'm going to try researching something. And are you guys seeing my eBay screen? Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, so I have this pair of boots, and yeah, I found something really fun to show you guys. This is one of my clients sent. Now she keeps shipping me stuff from California to sell. I really like her. Okay, these are boots. They're, I'm going to say it wrong, but Saint Laurent, okay, boots. So when I go to search it, the first word I saw said boxer, okay? So this is what I did. Okay, I put boots, boxer, and then, you know, the brand name, okay. And by the way, when you're researching something, don't put too many words because someone else might not have used that word in their title. So now when I did that, I came up with boots, those boots, but those are different than these. Okay, and then if you scroll down on the left and click sold, that was this is an active item, okay? Now I'm gonna go to sold. And no exact match is found. Okay, so now I'm going to take away the word boxer, and I found a number on this right here, AQSOO, and I'm lucky because I have a box, so I have some more information. Like if I didn't, you can sell used items on eBay, by the way, because somebody brought that up. These are used. I have the box, but they're used. Okay, so I added that little number that's on the box, and I'm going to click search. Oh, and nothing came up. So wait, I forgot the S. Okay, let's try it with the S. All right, nothing came up. I think now I want to show you something else. So eBay's search of their sold listings, see, sold, goes back, I don't know, 6 weeks, maybe 3 months. It might vary by category, but I'm going to go to another tab on my eBay, and Seller Hub is available to everyone, I believe now, and it's free. If you're not subscribed to Seller Hub, let me know and I can send you the link to subscribe. It's free, and it's how you manage all your sales. Okay, we have a question. Go ahead.
What about searching by just completed in addition to sold?
Oh, Donna, that's a great idea. Okay, I could have searched just completed and not sold. So let's go back and do that. Thank you. Meaning it ended, but it didn't sell. Oops. Okay, now it's back to active. All right, we'll look at that in a minute, but we're going to just click on completed and not sold. Okay, nothing. Okay, now let's go back for a minute to, so we go to my eBay, and I'm taking you to a tool under research, Terapeak. And Terapeak is a tool that's now free to all eBay sellers. And it goes back a year. You can go back a whole year. You can go back less than a year if you want. Also, if there's too many results, we're going to go back a year because I got 0 results. Okay, and now I'm going to search for that. And fingers crossed. What the heck? Nothing came up. Okay, back over here. Don't worry, everybody. It's going to be fine. I'm going back to my completed listings, and I'm going to click that box because I'm going to go back to active. And here is the same boots on the active listings that really, oh wait, that's a little different still. But these are the same. This one's the same. Okay, and I see that they say signature Blake. And this one says, that one doesn't say Blake at all, but, and it's different. Okay, so I'm going to take this out and put Blake. Now we've got 26 active, and I'm going to go to sold. Yes, and we've got 2. One of the teenagers who will be unnamed, who works for me, who does a great job, but a lot of times he's like, Sherry, this isn't on eBay. Here, I can't sell this. So then I'm like, okay. And I see how long it takes me to shame him, which is my goal. I'm kidding. I'm really kidding. But because you've got to work it, you know, you've got to try some different things. People are using different words. And now these say they sold for $299, but they have a slash through the price, which means it sold from best offer, but eBay is not going to tell you here how much it sold for. And you need to know how much it sold for so you can price your item. So I am going to copy as much of this title here as I can see. And I'm going to go back to Terapeak because Terapeak will show you what it actually sold for. Let's see if this works. And I click search. Okay, well, there's many of them that have those same words. I think this might be that same listing. Let me see. Sitting on the box. Yeah, this is it. It sold for $245. It did not sell for $299, but now you know how to see what it sold for. Okay, I hope that was fun. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Now, I just want to peek back at, out of curiosity, when I click like that, can you see my slideshow or no? You can? Oh, good. Okay. So, okay, good. That doesn't always happen. Okay, so now I'm going to go back because I want to show you something else. I want to make sure these are used and not new, because if they're new, I'm not really getting an idea of what mine are going to sell for. And I look on the left is item specifics on the left side of your screen. And you see how it says new? Those are both new. So that's what a new pair sold for. Darn. Okay. I'm disappointed. Okay. I'm going to go back to Terapeak, and on Terapeak, because this is going back a whole year, we've got another pair here. Oh, but on Terapeak, so how do you get to Terapeak? Just to tell you guys, you go to your My eBay. You have to be subscribed to find it this way, to Seller Hub, which I think after the class, I'm just going to send you a link to that. But you go to your My eBay selling, and as long as you're in Seller Hub, then you go to research and click on Terapeak. Okay, so we're going to go back to Terapeak, and I'm going to just look for the Blake there, because I want to see if I can find some that were used that sold and how much they sold for. I'm still looking for the price. And so I can go to condition filter, pre-owned, 8 pairs, apply. Okay, let's see. These are black. I can see that. We know they're pre-owned. These sold for $377. And it was under pre-owned. See, isn't that weird? You also really want to dig in well, because you don't want to just go with pricing yours at the first thing you find. What you want to do is price yours at the highest one that you found. Okay, now you're going to think, oh my gosh, she spent all this time and all we've done is research an item. But by finding a similar item and researching it so well, we've done a lot of our stuff ahead of time. Because now to create your listing, one really easy way to create it is I'm going to click sell similar. And by doing that, it's got the keywords that the person used who got the most money for this item in the same condition. And then I'm going to change the size, and I'm going to find other keywords. Like, I'm not going to do it right now, but I'm going to remind myself of what the US size is for 38 and add that to the title. I think it's 8 or 8.5. But I'm just going to do that. US 8. Okay. What else can we put? They've got, these are, so now we've transitioned from researching to the steps to creating your listing.
How often do you use Terapeak versus just
How often do I use Terapeak? Okay, versus just looking at eBay. I use it when I'm not right away finding it in eBay sold listings. So let's say I found it in the same condition on eBay sold listings, and I found more than one. I probably won't go to Terapeak. But if I'm finding a limited amount or it's not the same condition or I can't find it sold at all, that's another thing that one of the teenagers will say is like, this is on eBay, but doesn't sell. And then I'll go, okay. And I'll go to Terapeak and go back a year because it might not have sold in the last 6 weeks, but it may have sold in the last year. So I don't know if that quite answers the question, but there's another thing that Terapeak shows you. So let's go back to Terapeak for a minute. It gives you an average shipping cost that buyers paid. How many of these sold listings had free shipping? Surprisingly, only 13%. What was the total that sold in the last 365 days? 8. Some things are going to have are going to sell so much that you're only going to want to go back a week on Terapeak. Like if we were to look at a wedding dress, let's try that for a second. Okay, wedding dress. I'm not even going to go back 365 days. I'm going to go back 7 days because I want to show you some of the information you can get from Terapeak. So we're getting an average shipping cost that buyers pay, an average sold price. And now, of course, if I put in a brand, this would be more pertinent information for me. What percent has free shipping? 32%. What was the total number sold in the last 7 days? 76. And you think, oh my gosh, wedding dresses, those are a good thing to sell. Well, I've sold them and I can tell you it's not great. And I'll tell you why. The sell-through rate is just above 0.5%. And what is the worst thing that could happen when you list things on eBay? Is it that it can sell for $10 or $20? Well, no, that's not the worst thing. Because, maybe it could sell, what I should clarify is maybe it only sells $10 for $10 more than you have put out for it, paid for it, your expense. The worst thing that could happen is it doesn't sell. Then you're out either your time or the person that you've paid to list it. And once you start paying people to help you list, you really value that time. So anyway, if you have 99.5% of your inventory not selling, now I want to say that's the sell-through rate for a week. Let's just try a sell-through rate for 30 days. Okay, so the sell-through rate went up to 2.75%. Still bad, but maybe that gives you an idea, like it might take a month, but only 2.75% are going to sell. Even I'm spending this much time on this class on this because if this is all I impart to you when you're looking at merchandise to sell, then I feel like I've done my due diligence, because if I can keep you from buying stuff or getting stuff and spending the time to list stuff that isn't going to sell and doesn't have a good sell-through rate, then that's a good thing. I always say that I've gone to, I've paid my stupid tax. And one of the stupid taxes that I've paid before, or when I went to stupid school, meaning I learned it the hard way, is like listing everything I could get my hands on. Because yeah, I mean, it's easy to get a thing and then list it, but if it just sits there and you're storing it and you spent the time to list it, then that's not necessarily a good thing. Okay, so we've determined how much I should list it for. If we're back to the boots, we've narrowed it down. Okay, we've talked about researching it. Let's go to the next thing. Next slide. So I can keep myself on track. I'm going to go back to that listing, I think, that that I was creating, but I want to cover some other things. Okay, so the other thing I love about eBay is I also started a business where I was selling this software and everyone was going to want it and everyone needed it. But I mean, it costs a lot to get started, like tens of thousands of dollars. So selling on eBay, I appreciate so much because it almost costs you nothing. Here's what you need. You need a smartphone. If you have a laptop too, that's helpful too. I've known people who just use their smartphone to sell on eBay. But yeah, it's good to have a laptop too. If you don't want to go to the post office every day or FedEx every day, it would be good to get a scale. They're like $30 on eBay right now, a really good one. And if you want information on that, let me know. If you have a printer, then you can print. So if you have the scale and the printer, you can weigh your item and then you can print your label through eBay. And then you don't even have to go to the post office, but we just go, we meaning the teenagers, to the post office every day and drop off all our pre-labeled stuff, and then they can scan it there. I also bought a thermal label printer because then you're not paying for ink on an inkjet printer, because that can get expensive. So if you are shipping a lot, then a thermal label printer will save you money, but it also save you time because it just like prints out, and it ruins you for ever having to wait for an inkjet to shoot out a label. Okay, then you need packing material and things to ship your items in. So we're going to have okay, so one thing I want to say is this class is free, and but I do have a 5-week course. So next week is going to be week 2, and we're going to have 4. So we're going to have 4 more weeks. So some of you have already paid for the whole 5-week class. For those of you who want to take it today, there's a discount. It's $500 for the 5-week class. It's 20% off through tomorrow for anybody in this class if you want the 5-week class. So then it would be $400. But I'm telling you that because I'm about to tell you that in week 2, which is next week, I am going to talk about shipping the entire class because, it's easy to do the shipping on the eBay listing, but if you're going to ship something that weighs more than a pound or more than 2 pounds, I can save you money on shipping in many different directions. Even if it weighs under a pound, over a pound, how should you ship it? But anyway, let's say you're just shipping light things. You only want to take this class. You're going to need some kind of material to ship your item in, and you can get free USPS priority boxes and envelopes and flat rate envelopes and flat rate boxes by going to USPS.com and creating an account and then ordering them for free, and they'll ship them to you. They have some at the post office, but they don't have all the styles at the post office. And my favorite one is the padded flat rate envelope. And basically anything you can shove into that thing is one rate anywhere in the US. So my favorite and most glorious moment was getting 5, poor Haley has heard this many a time, but getting 5 pairs of yoga pants into one padded flat rate envelope because it was going to Australia, and I had told her I would ship it to her for just the rate of a padded flat rate envelope. Therefore, I was getting them all into there. Okay, and then for things that are breakable, you're going to need packing material. For things you're not shipping priority, but first class, if it weighs less than a pound, and that's a less expensive way to ship it, then you can't use the priority free materials, free boxes or bags. So then you might want to get poly mailers. Now, does this have to cost you money? Not necessarily. Tell all your friends and your neighbors and put on next door you're looking for packing material, and you'll be amazed at how much free packing material you can get. Also, to list your item on eBay right now, even without an eBay store, you get 200 free listings per month. That means it doesn't cost you anything to list it. When it sells, there's a fee, but at least your item's selling and you're getting some money. So do you see how the upfront cost of selling on eBay is very minimal? Here's a link to what the eBay selling fees are. And I'll go in detail about that in another class. However, Haley, maybe you could put in the chat, that link to eBay selling fees. Okay. And here's an example, but, oh, I told you wrong. You get 250 free insertion fees. So to list your item, it doesn't cost anything, 250 of those a month. That's for auction style and fixed price. And then when it sells, it does vary by category, as you can see, and there's more further down here. But it's up to approximately 12%, but that's based on the selling price, plus whatever the buyer paid you for shipping and whatever the buyer paid eBay for sales tax. So it really averages more like 15% of the selling price. And then also I have YouTube videos. I'm going to give you some resources at the end of this that you can use on helping you with eBay selling and finding out how to find your eBay fees and things like that, free resources. Okay, so, different people can have a different niche. I had some people one person who took my class had a carpet cleaning business. So she started selling the equipment and supplies for carpet cleaning. And she was selling tens of thousands of dollars worth of that on eBay a month. It was turned out better than her carpet cleaning business. A musician who was in my class would look for, because he is an expert on that stuff, so he would look for musical instruments on eBay being sold and maybe not listed very well, not with the greatest photos. He would ask the questions he needed to. He would especially look for auctions. He would bid not very high, and sometimes he would win the auction. Then he would list it well in a fixed price format and make a lot of money. That's how he was making money. Another gal did the same kind of thing with purses. So you can, what is your expertise? Donna's is, saddles, tack, right? Equestrian. And I had someone in one of my classes who said, I figured it out. I figured out what you love. And he's like, money. Well, I mean, it's not really like that. I love having a house and not having to go get a job and then being able to do the things I want to do. So I sell anything that will do well on eBay, legal, ethical. Yes, I have standards and I turn things down. But I sell everything from vintage California pottery, these deer. I have a lot of vintage deer figuring on my eBay store right now, just because someone I'm selling for has them. But I just sold a meat wrapper that weighed over 1,000 pounds, occupied 2 pallets, and sold for $11,250. So, I sold this. This is a Scotty trailer, and it sold. This is going to be, you think it's kind of weird and hard to sell a meat wrapper that weighs 1,000 pounds. And by the way, I'm going to cover, when I talk about shipping next week, how to sell freighted items. And how do you do that? Okay. But this trailer sold, and then the buyer paid freight directly, which is what you do. There's your big tidbit right there too. They pay freight, not to you, have them pay it directly to the freight company. And there is a trailer transport service for that. I sold this Yadro chess set. And let's move on over here. Okay, so Donna, I don't know anything about saddles. I love horses, but I don't have one. And someone gave me a really worn out saddle with bird poop on it to sell. So we looked it up and we couldn't find any of this one on eBay. We cleaned off the bird poop and then we listed it, because we couldn't find any on there, on auction. And we started it at $150, because if it sold for less than that, I didn't feel. It's on the right side of your screen. Okay, for any of you who can't see the saddle, it's on the right side of your screen, possibly hiding behind the controls of the Zoom. And I started it at $150. Yeah, because I didn't want to have to ship it because it was big. If it sold for less than that. And what you're seeing here is that the bid was up to $201. This sold for $350. A really worn out saddle. So anyway, that was fun. Okay. Okay, so I already showed you how to use sell similar to create your listing from a sold item on eBay. What keywords did they use in their title? If they didn't use good words, like if they said, look, best, excellent, those aren't keywords that people are going to use to search for an item. Then don't use those words. Use words like the brand, the model number, or model name, the color, the size. So how were their pictures? Look at who got the most money for that item. What pictures did they show? And you want to show, as far as pictures, if someone was in person, what they would see. So, like every angle of the item, close-ups of flaws, point out any flaws. And then when doing sell similar, it brings over the other person's title, but it doesn't bring over their description. Look at their description, see what information they gave. Because if they did a good job, you want to give similar information in yours. And you don't want any unpleasant surprises for the buyer. You want to, if there's any kind of a flaw, call it out, show it in a picture. What format should you use? Fixed price or auction? I found the same exact pair of boots. I went back a whole year and I went and found the person who got the most money for them. So I will list this at a fixed price at the most anyone got. The saddle, I could not find that same one. So I did an auction. But start your auction at maybe what similar ones were selling for. Anyway, that's what I do, because you could list an auction starting at 99 cents. And yes, I have sold things for 99 cents. So I don't recommend it. Okay, so do what worked, what a person who successfully sold their item for the most money did, and improve upon what you can. Oh, also something fun is if you have something that's in the box or has a barcode, you download the eBay app on your phone and click on sell, and then click on the camera thing and scan the barcode. And if it's in eBay's catalog, it'll fill in some of the information for you. But even if eBay, so on many items, they'll suggest a price, always research your item, because remember that was step one anyway, and see what it sold for. Don't necessarily go by the suggested price for eBay, because that's generated with, a computer, and it may not take into consideration some different variations. So use both pieces of information. And what I like to do is research the item, create a draft, price it, save that draft, and then have one of the teenagers add the pictures using a smartphone. So you'll find ways to streamline it. And even if it's me taking the pictures, I like to create the drafts on the laptop. That's the fastest way and most efficient way I could do it. And then open it with my phone and add the pictures to all the drafts. So you want to find out the most efficient way to get as much listed as possible. Okay, we talked about auction versus buy it now. Okay. And then what shipping is your item going to require? So if you haven't listed anything yet, then start with things that are easy to ship, because you don't need to torture yourself needlessly right off the bat. So like clothing can be shipped in a poly mailer, that's those like plasticky bags. And on eBay, what I recommend and what I always use is the shipping calculator. Put in the weight that the item will be when it's packed, and the dimensions, and eBay will calculate the shipping based on where the buyer is. You could also do free shipping, but I'm not going to go into that too much here because you always want to make sure you know what shipping is going to cost and maybe build that if you're going to do free shipping into the price of your item. I actually don't use free shipping. And I know Donna doesn't either. I'm pretty sure. Okay. So, and then managing your items and your sales, you go to your My eBay seller hub that I told you about. And from there, you can see your items awaiting shipment. If there's any returns, look up what your seller fees are. You can look up what all your fees are in one report, or you can look them up by transaction. I'm not going to show you that live right now because I just want to make sure I talk about everything. And then getting your items to show up in searches. So I have seen a huge difference from like 2006. I think there were like, I'm going to find out I was wrong, but maybe like 300 million items on eBay. Now we saw it earlier, like 3.2 billion or whatever it was, something like that. A number of billions of items on eBay. So getting your items seen is harder now. And I really recommend doing all these things, creating promotions. It's free to use these, but it's like a markdown sale. Start your price high and then mark it down. eBay will show it as a slashed price. I do have a whole class just talking about moving merchandise, creating promotions. I think that might be week 3. Using promoted listings, eBay, if it sells through that, will charge you an added ad fee on top of your final value fee. And when they first came out with that, I'm like, no, I'm not going to use that. I don't want to pay a higher fee. And I didn't do it for like a year or two. And things were not selling very much. It was pretty slow. And I started using it and my 50% of my items sold that way. Now I have to say even 70% of my items sell that way. Now in certain categories, if you are the only one with a certain item on eBay, you don't have to use promoted listings because yours the only one that's going to come up in the search. But if there's competition, then I recommend using that. Send offers. This is something that you can do every day. And I'm completely addicted to it. So, and it's very effective. So let me get over here and show you what I'm talking about live. So I'm going to go to my eBay and then I'm going to go to my listings, my active listings, and scroll down, send offers, eligible 9. Now I got to tell you something. I have done this like 4 times today. So if I like wait a whole day, if I'm on a hike with my nieces and nephews for a whole day, and then I go to this, there's like 40. These are people who are either watching your items or maybe they put your item in their cart and they didn't buy it. I can't see who they are, but if I click on send offers eligible, it shows me what items are eligible for me to send an offer on. And then I can just click on those. I'm going to unclick a couple for a couple reasons. Okay. And then I'm going to click send offers. And you could do as little as 5%. Sometimes that's effective. For me, I think, 10% works pretty well. I'm not going to allow counter offers. And I'm just going to click send offers. So if you have items listed on eBay and you haven't done this, do it and then tell me, because that's going to help you move some merchandise. Okay. And then also if you can have an eBay store where you have your own banner, it's good for branding. It has all of your listings in one store, in one place. You can create categories that costs you a monthly fee. For a basic or a starter store, I think it's like $4.95 a month. I have a premium store, which, oh my gosh, I can't think of it right now, but it might be $50 a month. But Every 3 months, I get a shipping supplies coupon for $50. So that pays for one of those months from eBay that I can use to buy co-branded shipping supplies with eBay's name on it. But anyway, it also comes with no insertion fee. And I have to double check this because it may have changed for 500 listings. Also, your final value fee is slightly less when you have a store. So it's something when you have a lot of items listed, you could see if it saves you money, but it also helps to kind of capitalize on the traffic that you're getting to each of your listings. Okay, sales tax. In most states, and I can, let me know if you want the link to this page. It's actually on the next slide. No, it's not. But anyway, let me know if you want the link to this page. For most states now, eBay is collecting the sales tax for you. That's the good news. The bad news is, even if eBay is collecting it for you and you have zero to remit to your state, you still, if it's more than a hobby, and I'm not an accountant and can't give tax advice, so you have to ask your accountant this, then you need to report, get a resale license and report sales tax to your state if your state has sales tax, even if you owe zero. So I have to report quarterly, I think it is for me, to the state of Colorado that I owe them zero. And I put in what eBay collected and remitted already for me in sales tax. Okay, now I want to give you some resources. We're not doing too badly. It's 7:05. I've gotten through this whole thing. And even though I dilly-dallied in different areas, but here's some resources for you. eBay Seller School. And if you go to this URL, it says sign in. You don't have to sign in because you might not be able to. We tested that out today. But without signing in, you have access to videos step by step, how to open your account with eBay, how to create a listing, countless videos, and they're excellent. They are so well done. And if you're thinking, well, what do I need you for? Well, actually, you've got all those resources step by step on how to do it. But don't worry, I have so much like live experience with different things that there are just so many things that I know that I can help you with that is nuanced and is outside in addition to those videos. And just to give you a little background on that. So Donna had mentioned that eBay, they did have this first group of people who they did the seller school for, where they had me, Donna, and a few other coaches. So they would have the people, we recommend you watch these videos and then you can ask your questions to the coaches. So just getting that personal, answers to your exact questions is really valuable. Okay, also there's eBay Facebook groups, namely Donna has one that she can share on the chat with you guys if she wants to. And you can get support from other sellers, there. And I have a eBay Facebook group also that I'll email you guys as Haley looks at me like, what's that link? So I'll email you all you guys that, and I'd love for you guys to join that group so we can see what each other's doing. In my last online 5-week class, I see some of the people who are just going great guns. I mean, they're so busy and it makes me feel so good that they've been able to take off. And one of the gals was already selling on eBay like all the time. And she's like, I think I want to take your class, but I already have been doing this. Am I going to be bored or, and I'm like, well, let me ask you this. And I asked her a question like, are you doing this? And she's like, no. And I'm like, well, I'll tell you how to do that. And anyway, she took the class. She was very engaged and she is so busy. She's like, Sherry, tell me who I can hire. She's like always needing to hire more help. Anyway, this other resource is called eBliss Reseller Solutions. They run the Denver eBay sellers meetup group, which let me know if you're interested in knowing about that. And there's other meetup groups in different locations, but right now it's on Zoom, but that might change to be in person. But anyway, the reason I'm telling you about them is something I hear a lot is, well, you're storing all that stuff in your, taking up 1,000 square foot of your basement. And how am I going to do that? I have like one room. How am I going to store it? Well, let's see if I can still speak. The service that they are providing is they have a big warehouse. They ship your stuff to them and you outsource the storage and the shipping of your stuff. Isn't that cool? So anyway, if you don't have space and that's your problem, this is a good solution to that. Okay, here's the link to your eBay total sales reports right there. Okay. And now I want, before we start, do we have any questions in the chat?
I answered one.
Okay. Okay. So, well, maybe in that case, we'll just do live questions. But this is what I'm doing in our 5-week class for the next 4 weeks. So week 2, shipping and improved profitability. I had another guy in my class before who worked for a car dealership, and he'd been doing that for 2 years. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to be able to teach him? I saved him a couple dollars per shipment because he was using FedEx on items that weighed less than 3 pounds. He was using FedEx ground. So one of my tips with shipping is if your item weighs over 3 pounds and doesn't fit in a priority flat rate box, ship it FedEx ground to save money. Well, alternatively, if it weighs less than 3 pounds, you're probably going to save money by shipping it priority. So I'll help you with improving profitability via shipping, plus how to ship all these crazy things so that maybe you want to expand what you're selling, but you haven't done that because you don't think you can freight something, or you don't want to ship something that weighs 50 pounds or is super big. Okay, week 3, setting and reaching your goals. So what is it that your specific goal is? Set that goal. I have a spreadsheet for that. And then how to have reality checks with what you're doing compared to that goal and how are you going to get to that. Working for that Fortune 500 company, where I was strung out on stress, something I learned from them is they have a formula. The formula works. And so when I quit that job and started selling and decided that I was going to sell on eBay for a living, I thought, what's my formula? I need a formula. So I'm going to help you guys with what your formula is. And then also using all these eBay seller tools, how to read the reports in Seller Hub, the free reports, sales reports, traffic reports, your fees reports. Let me tell you that on YouTube, I might have a video that has 40 views, but my video about how to figure out what your fees are per item, one of those has like 5,500 views. Well, that's just to say that's how hard it is can be to figure that out. And I need to know what the fees are for every item that I sell because I sell on consignment. So I can't just average it out because I'm selling for all these different people. So I only deduct the fee for those specific items I sold for those specific people. Okay. Week 4, getting merchandise and selling on consignment. And if you don't want to sell on consignment, I'll help you with resources on, getting merchandise, buying and reselling, a resource for drop ship selling, although I really don't recommend it unless it's somebody that you know personally. But I'll tell you, how did I get from moving to Colorado and then get to where I was able to double what I had to make when I wasn't having to make all the money for my household. So how to get people that you can sell on consignment for. Also, I have many opportunities through the way that I'm, getting things to sell on consignment where I could just buy it and resell it. I choose not to do that. So, but anyway, so if you do want to buy and resell, you could do it kind of that same way. And then week 5, growing and scaling your business. And this all goes back to the goals that you've set, for yourself. And if you're going to need to make this much money, what systems do you need to have in place? Are you going to need to hire people? How do you hire people? How do you parcel out the work? And I am totally parceling out the work. I've got the 19-year-old doing the shipping, and thankfully the 20-year-old doing it when the 19-year-old's not here, and the 20-year-old doing everything else, and the 15-year-old taking the pictures, and a 14-year-old, taking pictures, and how to have quality control. They could do it in the drafts. You can do all the quality control, and how to handle the accounting. Okay, so that is just about a wrap. Now, are there any questions in the chat, or otherwise I'm going to stop sharing, I think.
Paul A shared his eBay group as well.
Oh, good. Okay, so Paul, thank you for sharing your meetup group. Awesome. And okay, I'm going to just invite you guys to, do you have any questions? You could just unmute yourself and go for it. Anybody?
Where do you find the motivation on days that you just have no energy or no interest?
My house payment. And I am not kidding.
I know you're not.
Yeah, that's so funny. Yeah, because like yesterday, I was just like, ugh, I just don't feel like listening. Well, my thing with yesterday, yeah, sometimes we have like hard stuff to list. Nobody wanted to work yesterday. So actually my motivation was I've got to keep the 14-year-old productive because I'm paying him. And so I've got to like get these drafts made and start loading up his table to keep him photographing. So actually yesterday, that was my motivation. Yeah, I am going to cover that. You're right. That's not on. It is going to be in one of those classes. I think we'll do it with the shipping next week, photographing. Anyone else? It doesn't have to be a question.
Talk about what Paul sells, Apollonia.
All right, where are you? I don't see him. He might have dropped. Oh, there he is. But his chair is empty. Paul, do you want to? Paul Hartanian, and I'm sorry I said your name wrong. First of all, thank you for all the nice things you said. That means so much to me. Also, because your listings are incredible. The quality of your listings. Do you want to share what you sell at all? And you're muted if you are talking.
Thank you. I sell historic artifacts. That means pieces of spacecraft, famous airplanes, famous buildings, things that went to the moon. But the key to my business is that I have 2 sizes of envelopes. That's all. If they don't fit in one of those 2 sizes of envelopes, I don't sell it. So it makes shipping very easy. And it makes the standard rate. The one envelope is 8 ounces and the other envelope is 12 ounces. And that's all there is to it. And the key to my whole business is list it once, sell it 1,000 times. So when I sell things, I don't have just one of them. I may have hundreds of them. And the customers are fine with that. They don't care. As long as they get what they want to buy, they're happy. And right in the listing, it'll say, I have 30 of these or 40 of these, and I may have sell the 40 and then I'll put another 40 up. No problems at all. Keep your customers happy. And one real key, this is another super thing to do. Handwrite a little note, get a little pad of Post-it notes. And I always handwrite a note. Dear Sherry, here's an extra free gift. Thanks for your purchase, Paul. Handwrite. It takes you 2 seconds and people love it.
I love that. I love that. I'm jealous and you're my hero.
And you can steal it. You can steal it and take credit.
No, I'm not going to take credit for it, but Haley, will you tell Gabby to start writing notes? Because her handwriting is much better than mine. And we've started putting postcards in there and just saying, you know, we sell in consignment if you're interested in me selling for you. But what Paul's doing is really a personal touch. And I love that. And I love that that's how you scaled your business. And I mean, that's just awesome. So that's great.
Sherry, a
Another
lot of
really-
what, oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, go right ahead.
I was gonna say, I like Paul, I do handwritten notes. I get fancy paper, but I sit in front of the TV watching my shows on multitask and write it then. Or if I'm riding in the car with my boyfriend, I'll sit there and write the notes then. He's always yelling at me for multitasking instead of just sitting still. But, you know, you can write your return labels out that way. Yeah, the customers love the handwritten notes. So if you got extra time or you got kids that want to earn a little extra money, $1 here or there, you know, incorporate the 5-year-olds, 10-year-olds if they have decent printing or handwriting skills. I ship with stamps. I don't print labels hardly ever, which is, you know, opposite of what
Wait a
Sherry's
minute.
teaching. But
Don't you ship saddles, or am I wrong?
yeah, 4 sides of a box is covered with stamps.
Oh my gosh. That is like my worst nightmare. That's hilarious.
Why?
First of
Larry-
all, sticking
Larry
them all
Phillips is
on
in my
there.
group. I get stamps for 60% of the face value. So if I get $1,000
Oh.
worth of stamps, I'm paying $600, and in 2 months I make $400 tax free because I don't have to prove what I paid for postage.
What? Okay, now my other question for you, Donna, is what about tracking?
I put on a tracking number or insurance. Every saddle, whether it's $50 or $500 or $1,000, it goes with insurance and signature tracking.
You can do that from home
I
without
go to the
eBay?
post office.
You go
every
to the
single-
post office?
Every single item I ship is at the post office and I get that receipt.
Oh my gosh.
I
See,
don't trust scan sheets.
when I go to the post office and wait in line, and the last time I did was a long time ago, I get in a very dark mood.
Why? You said one
Because
of the teenagers.
oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
It's
That-
just so if something isn't scanned when you drop it off from the origin point, I don't want that. You know, my post offices are great. Mine local one is 3 miles from my house. So, but I'm not shipping as many packages as you. And I sell at home, I sell on Marketplace. So I'm divided, you know, not just on eBay.
Uh-huh. Well, I saw
And
some things on Marketplace, but like an office chair, you know,
Okay.
because it's like too big.
Yeah,
to-
the bulkier stuff. And, you know, when you
Yeah, they
take
pick it up.
Sherry's course, you know, I can't say enough how real and genuine Sherry is as a person to learn from. And she's always happy. She incorporates the kids, the dogs, you know, you got pets, she'll give you ways to incorporate them. But, you know, it's real and I cannot express that enough.
Oh,
So-
Donna, thank you.
And I agree. You can hunt around forever to try to put this information together, or you can just use Sherry and get the information in the time that you need it. One other
Thank
thing I'd like to
you.
mention, if I could, is feedback. You want people who are maniacal about your feedback, not just good seller. You want people who are crazy. My username is History by the Inch. If you look that up and look at my feedback, these people are nuts about my service. That's what you want. That's what drives sales.
I love that. Are you taking that note, history by the inch?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, good. I can't wait to look at that. Okay, and Becky wants to know, Paul, where you get your stuff.
I've been doing this for many years. So when people see things for sale on eBay, for example, they'll say, I have something to sell. Key for this is documentation. This has to be solid, really squeaky clean documentation, which often it isn't. So 99% of the time, I'm dealing with reputable auction houses, dealers, and collectors that I've dealt with for many, many years.
Yeah, that's great. And that's a really good point. Like on the handbags, even these boots. I know this person that I'm selling them for. I know exactly where she shops. Half the time she's got the receipt in the box. But I know that they're authentic. And if I don't know that, I won't sell it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
And if because you won't be around for long on eBay if you do. And
It's not worth the money you make to get a forgery and have people say you're selling forgeries.
No.
Squeaky clean stuff.
yeah.
I'd say one of the biggest things to remember, Sherry, is that PayPal or any payment processor, it's dropping to $600 starting 2022. So to whatever you sell, make sure you have receipts. Or if you're going to a garage sale, write down the name of the garage sale. You buy something on Marketplace to resell, just print out a copy of the person or the conversation that you have. Because a lot of the items that I sell, like you said, are used saddles. And a lot of times people throw them up. They're dirty, or, they got other things thrown in with it. So what I do is, like you're saying, I completely clean it, condition it. I have small accounts where I put, new stirrups and leathers with it and, make it look attractive. Your pictures say 1,000 words or sometimes 1,000,000 words, but you need the description and the pictures to make people really interested in what you're selling. And then once you get those customers, they're going to come back to you. You get in a niche like Paul with his historical items. He knows his niche. But if he wanted to branch out into something else, he'd find something similar. If he wanted to get into antiques completely different from what he's doing, he'd follow the same basic principles for what you've taught, what he's learned. I'm getting into antiques and I have questions. So maybe you and Paul want to do a class together. I'd pay to take that for antiques. Seriously.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Donna, what did you mean by PayPal is going down to $600 next year?
Did you mean they're reporting it if you make
Yes, if you have
$600?
200 items that are transactions on PayPal and 20,000 in sales, it has to be both, then payment processors will report your income. But now it's going down to $600 starting 2022.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's no problem.
And that's what I
Well-
used to tell people in my class, like, if you just, as far as the accounting is concerned, there are things that you can write off, and you want an accountant to help you with that because you can find a very affordable accountant.
Yep.
And actually, I have one who, though his wife does the QuickBooks at a very reasonable rate. And then with his expertise, he's the accountant. So it's very reasonable. I write off what I can legally write off. But what you always want to assume is, if I'm audited, will I have the proof to
Yep.
keep me, out of trouble? And that's the way you want to just run your books. And that's why I do cover the bookkeeping, because you need to know it's for two reasons. One is, like Donna says, they're reporting it, your income. And so what you're reporting should match that. And wait, there's another reason. Oh yeah. You want to know if you're making any money or not. Because I've also made that mistake where when I was selling to the electronics recycler, I was paying so much for the labor, like the teenagers at that time. And it took so much to ship these heavy things, and the profit margin was so low. I really wasn't making any money, but I didn't realize it because I wasn't breaking down all the fees to every listing at the time. Now, I'm not saying you always have to do it to that level, but I did need to do it that level until I knew that I had a handle on what I exactly am making. And I haven't let go of it. So I look up every single fee for every transaction. And I am covering bookkeeping. Yeah. That's the last week.
Basically, if you can do a garage sale, you know what you're selling. You have to get the ad right. You put your tables up, you watch your customers, you make sure you have change in your pocket, the dollar bills, bags for people to take stuff in, or boxes. I mean, eBay selling is just like doing that, except the more you sell, the more complicated it gets as far as the bookkeeping and having the price points, knowing what you're doing, the cost you have into the items. If you're paying people, you want a 1 week, a 1 month, a 5 month, 8 month goals. You know, to-do lists are phenomenal, whether in daily life or in this, and then you get a sense of accomplishment as you cross some of those things off. The more you do it, the better it gets. You only get out of it what you put into it. It's not the old days where you could just throw something up and it would sell. It takes work.
Sherry, I don't know if you're covering this in your class or not, but I saw your basement in Zoom, on a Zoom call we did, and was really overwhelmed by how much you have. But what I was also impressed by is just how incredibly organized you have everything. And I think that's a real skill that people might want to know about if it's not covered in your class.
Thank you, Jennifer. So you're saying, you mean like show them how to organize and systemize it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I do show that, and that, thank you. And thank you for the kind words. And that's how you can scale. Is you have to systemize it, and I will show exactly how to do that. And then Becky, did you have something you wanted?
I was just wondering if anybody here is selling what they produce, so they create, as opposed to what you purchase.
Oh, Becky, did you guys hear her or no?
No,
Because Becky's here in person.
No.
Okay. Becky asked if any of you are selling something you create, or is it all things you've purchased, or like me selling for someone else? Because Becky makes her own product and is going to be selling that. Do you want to show what you're making? Or we have to unmute her though. Do you mind? Sorry. I could unmute you from here. No, I could only ask you to unmute. Sorry.
Oh,
Okay, you are unmuted.
okay. I can be heard. I am a seamstress and I sew a lot. And I was doing craft shows somewhat prior to COVID. However, as you know, that stopped. And I decided I like not going to craft shows. I think I want to sell on eBay. So I create anything in fabric that someone might want. You know, a lot of things I do are rice bags. I don't know if you know what rice bags are.
Mhm.
Or bags, just regular bags. You do? Yeah. Uh-huh. Well,
Tell the ones who don't what a rice
here's a rice bag. Has rice in it. You put it in the microwave and makes your neck feel good. You can put it on your feet or whatever part, your back. Yeah, there's several different shapes and styles that I do. Point is, I want to sell that on eBay, but also multiple things. I mean, I can't even begin to think what all I do make now, bags or, I'm blanking because it just, whatever's fabric, I create.
There's a
you
lot
like-
of competition for those rice bags. Have you worked your numbers out on those?
I've seen some competition, yes, I have, but I think that I can meet that.
Okay, well, does anybody have any questions before we end so that I'm not keeping you past the time? No? Okay, well, thank you all so much for being here. And for those of you who have signed up for the full class, I'll see you next week. If any of you have any questions or want any links to any of the things that I've mentioned, please reach out, let me know. And thank you all so much for being here and for all the kind words too.
Thank you, Sherry.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you very
Bye.
much.
You're
Bye.
welcome.